In many cases, Quicksort is one of the most efficient sorting algorithms. To do a quicksort, you essentially pick one of the values in the array at random, move all values larger than it above it, and all values below it lower than it. The value that you pick initially is called a pivot. You continue on recursively, picking a pivot in the upper and lower sections of the array, sorting them similarly until the whole array is sorted. Okay, let's watch this in action. First, we need to select a pivot. The convention is to pick the last element as your pivot, so let's go ahead and do that. Our first element is larger than our pivot, so we need to move it behind the pivot. However, we're doing an in-place sort, so we need to move the element in front of the pivot to make room. So in this step, we're moving 8 to the last block, 2 to the second to last block, and 10 all the way up to the first block. This seems a little counterintuitive. You would think that we would move 10 back and not forward. Just hold on for now, we'll see exactly why this works soon. So we did our shift, and now we can make another comparison. Now we get to take a look at 10. Since 10 is bigger than 2, we need to, again, move 10 back, move 2 up, and move whatever's in front of 2 up as well. Great, one more swap down. Finally, we have 0 at the front of our array, which is actually smaller than our pivot of 2. That's pretty great, but now we just move to the second element and do the same process with that one. Since 3 is greater than 2, we'll need to shift around everything again. Awesome, this is looking so much better. Since 7 is still bigger than 2, we need to do another comparison though. Here's the swap we need to make. And this is what our array looks like now. This is definitely good. 2 is in the right place, we've checked all the elements before it and we're sure they're less than it, and we've put all of these elements after it that are all definitely bigger than it. Because we're sure everything in the array below 2 is actually less than 2, and everything above 2 is greater than 2, we know that 2 is in the exact right place. I'm going to color code it so we know that we don't need to move it again. At this point, we normally do the same process for everything smaller than the pivot and everything bigger than the pivot. Let's start with the smaller part first. We select our pivot and compare to everything before. Since 0 is actually less than 1, there's nothing we need to do. And with just one comparison, we know that both of these are in the right place, and we can move on. Now in the second half of the array, we select a pivot. Since 7 and 3 are both smaller than the pivot, we won't need to move them. However, 8 is bigger than the pivot, so we'll need to do a swap here. Now that our swap's complete, we can see that 8 and 10 are actually in their eventual positions. Everything less than 8 was already below 8, so we didn't need to move it at all. Okay, now we only have 2 elements left that maybe need to be sorted. Again, all we have to do here is assign 3 as a pivot and compare. We'll see that these two need to be switched, do that quickly, and then our whole array is done.